Welcome to Mathenatic. We are busy revising content for paper 1. Here we have the first 3 terms of an arithmetic sequence. And those 3 terms are 2p plus 3, that is term 1, p plus 6, that is term 2, and p minus 2, that is term 3. The first question says, show that p is equal to 11. So one of the properties of an arithmetic sequence is that the difference between terms is consistent. So term 2 minus term 1 would be equal to term 3 minus term 2. So if I take the first 3 terms, I can find the difference between these terms in terms of p. So for the first part, we have the difference is term 2 minus term 1. So that is p plus 6 minus 2p plus 3. And notice that I'm using brackets to represent term 1. Next, we have term 3 minus term 2. So that is p minus 2 minus term 2, which is p plus 6. And notice again that I'm using brackets to represent the second term. Now, if I simplify this first expression, I have p minus 2p, which is negative p, then 6 minus 3, and that becomes plus 3. In the second expression, we have p minus p, which becomes 0, and then negative 2 minus plus 6, which is negative 8. Now we can see that the difference between terms is actually negative 8. But the question said, show that p is 11. So what we know is that this expression of negative p plus 3 would be equal to negative 8, because that represents the difference between terms. So therefore we have negative p plus 3 is equals to negative 8, and I move the negative p to the right hand side, and that becomes plus p, and the negative 8 to the left hand side, and that becomes plus 8. So therefore p is equals to 11. The second question says, calculate the smallest value of n for which Tn is smaller than negative 55. So in the previous question, we found the value of p, and we proved that that is 11. So what you can do next is substitute these values of p with 11 to find the sequence of 25, 17, and 9. Now we can use our formula for an arithmetic sequence. So Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1d. So a would be the first term, and that is 25. And the value of d, so the difference between terms, is negative 8. So we replace d with negative 8. Then, if I multiply this negative 8 into this bracket, I have 25 minus 8n plus 8. And that simplifies to 33 minus 8n. And this represents the general term or the formula for our arithmetic sequence. Next, we can move on to answering the question. So it said, for which value of n will Tn be smaller than negative 55? So I take Tn and I set it smaller than negative 55. But Tn is represented by 33 minus 8n. Then I'll move the 33 to the right hand side, and that becomes negative 33, which simplifies to negative 88. And I'm left with negative 8n on the left hand side. Now, with inequalities, if you divide both sides by a negative number, the direction of the inequality changes. So n would need to be bigger than 11 because I'm dividing by negative 8. But we need to be careful. It says n is bigger than 11, not bigger or equal to 11. So therefore, term 12 would be the first term that is smaller than negative 55. Thank you for watching. Support us by liking and subscribing to Mathenatic. Check out our Digistore for math study notes, with free downloads for statistics and financial math. Follow the link in the video description.